Was last week's sermon. So I wanted to take the picture I took and then kind of go through it and explain it to everyone. This is based on Matthew 6, where your priorities are. Um, the 7 habits of highly effective people also touches on this. So I've done a mix. Funny thing is, when I first did my very first Bible class, it was on Matthew 6. And here I am, 25 years later, still teaching on Matthew 6. And I think there's so much content on there that I could never really finish getting through it in a lifetime. And in Matthew 6, the thesis is seek first the kingdom of God and prioritizing values over values of the world and what the world values. Now, as I talk about what not to prioritize, none of these things in and of themselves are bad, evil, or wicked. They only become bad when they become first in our lives. So for example, money is not bad, but the love of money is bad. So when you look at what Jesus was telling people not to worry about, is their wealth, their health, their prosperity, their finances, their fashion, the clothes they will wear, the food they will eat, how famous they will be, what people will be thinking about them. Fun, and I put fun in quotation marks, as the fun that the world thinks is worth pursuing. Furniture, I include home there, because he said don't worry about where you will live and where you will sleep. And a fan of, or to be a fanatic of things here of the world. So Jesus talks about not chasing after these things, prioritizing them above the things that are truly important in the kingdom of God. One of the things I do every morning, not every morning, but most mornings, don't want to lie, is write down what's most important to me, the 5 most important things in my life. I heard this person say this: it's not important to you if somebody were to give you $1 million and you would walk away from it. So would you walk away for $1 million from God, your family, your career, your business, your health, and ministry? So for me, those are the top most important things in my life. The challenge for you is to really dig deep and find out what in your life is most important. Of course, if you're a Christian, you'll always put God and or Christ, being the Trinity, as a priority in your life. And for me, that's the most important, followed by my family, my career, my business, health, and ministry. Now, I would recommend you write this down and see every day your values, so that they can orient you and help you understand what's most important as you wake up and you tackle the day. After you write your values, Stephen Covey uses this in the 7 habits of most effective people, highly effective people. He says write down the role associated with that habit. So for me, my highest role is to be a disciple of Christ, to be a family, a husband, a father, to the Esquivel Garcia families, because those are the 2 families in my life. After that is Austin Bridge and Road, where I currently work, and Compass Coaching, which is my side gig. Rest, exercise, and diet are very important to me. Not that I am faithful to them all the time, but I know I have to do them. If I don't do them, then the rest of everything really goes down the drain. And finally, my commitment to Grace Place Church as the Spanish-speaking minister. And so now that I know what my priorities are, my values are, and they align with the will of God. Now, I'm assuming a lot in having you do this values activity. I'm assuming that your will is aligned with the will of God, and that you believe the biblical precepts and values of the Bible, and that having that foundation, now we can talk about your values. Because if that's not your foundation, then your values won't align with God, and it's going to be difficult to do this in a Christian manner. As a matter of fact, if that's the case, you might lean more towards the finances, fashion, food, fame, being TikTok famous. The mall is one of the best temples in the world for fashion and food. I don't know who goes to the mall anymore, but Amazon is all about all that, you see. And like I said, Amazon isn't bad. Clothing isn't bad. Food isn't bad. It's when that is, they become your gods. Your stomach becomes your God. Your fashion becomes your God. What people think about you in social media becomes your God. And now that you've created your values, you've prioritized what's most important, you develop your roles, then really anything outside of that is extra. It's nothing you really will dedicate your time, your attention, invest your wealth into. What happens with a lot of people is they don't understand their values. They don't understand how to invest their time, their attention. They're doing too many things, and they're never really focused and moving forward in what's most important in their life. In spiritual formation and psychology, they call this living off the false self, because you're not really doing what you want to do. Your life doesn't align with your values. You might not even have a vision. So you just meander through life doing whatever comes your way, whatever urges you may have, whether that's food, fashion, being on the phone for hours on TikTok, having fun, investing on furniture, drowning yourself in hours and hours of sports or music or whatever that is. Once again, that's not bad, but it's when it becomes your God that then you prioritize that above the kingdom of heaven. So how do you know if you're living out of your true values? What you have to do is look at where you're spending your time in, what takes up most of your time, what takes up most of your attention, where do you invest your wealth and your money, and it's basically a pattern of behavior. If I say that diet and exercise are important to me, but the pattern is I don't exercise, the pattern is I don't diet, then it's really not a value for me, or it's a ideal value. It's not a real value. Because what happens is when it's a real value, it is a habit. It's something you do all the time, and it becomes your character. And then you harvest the benefits of that lifestyle where you put the kingdom of God first above all things. Thank you guys for your time.